Hello everyone, welcome back to NPTEL online certification course on research methodology for planning and architectural studies. So in this module, last four lectures we have discussed about different types of literature review, how you can conduct bibliometric analysis, how you can go for systematic literature review, or maybe you can also take help of meta analysis to understand the past literature and identify the gaps, research gaps which you want to fulfill through your research. But one important thing is left out, and that we'll talk today, that after doing all the review, so it is very important to write that review for your research paper, and you have to also give citation to the past studies, because this is very important for researcher to acknowledge the contribution of other researcher, the work that we have reviewed and got some insight for our own paper. So, with that, today at lecture number 15, we will be talking about the importance of referencing, and also I will show you some of the useful tools by which you can do the referencing very effectively. So, the title referencing, this is the lecture number 15. So, let us get started. So, out of this lecture, what we expect to learn, first we will understand the need for referencing academic literature, why we need to give the references. Then different referencing styles, but definitely there are n number of styles available, and many a times it will also depend on that particular publication or maybe publishers, that they would like you to follow certain sort of referencing style. But today I will show you some of the majorly used referencing style, and also I will give you some insight with a live demo of one of such kind of referencing manager. So, definitely the name suggests that referencing managers, they are very helpful tool. Many of them are open source, but in few cases, like there are certain subscription based platform as well. So, that will help you to do the referencing in correct manner, also to organize your paper that you reviewed in that process of literature review. With that, we will summarize our learning out of this particular lecture. Now, before we try to understand that the need of referencing, let us also understand the concept of academic integrity. This is something which whenever we join any institution, like as a researcher or as even professional, this is some sort of oath that we always take, that we should maintain this academic integrity. So, in this case we have to be honest as a researcher, and for that you have to be honest about which idea were derived from others. So, it is something, if we already found some of the concept that has been established or given by other researcher in their past work, we should acknowledge them. We should not steal the idea, because that is not going to help us as researcher to grow, because that can lead to some kind of plagiarism, that can lead to some kind of ethical issues that probably will have some different consequences. And also, this is nothing but to act fairly by not taking credit of others work. So, that means it should not be that I found some of the work somewhere and then maybe I just assume that okay, probably many people, they do not know about this work, let us take the advantage and then claim that work of yours. So, this is also not right. So, we have to be fair enough. We also take responsibility by finding out what is required for you as a researcher and how should you carry this out. So, this is something very important. Also, you have to show respect for others, other researcher, other inventors, okay, or maybe you can say that some of the renowned person, organizations who publish information, not the research paper but the information. So, in all those cases we have to respect others by acknowledging the part they have played in building your knowledge and understanding. Say for example, if you get some information, the secondary data, from some sources. So as because this is going to help you, so you should give the acknowledgement as well as you have to refer it. Then also it is something where you have to some sort of work that will produce which can be trusted. Now in this case, the moment you give due credit to the sources and all, so then as a reader or as reviewer of that particular research paper or as examiner of that particular research work, so always will get some sort of confidence. They will know that okay, this particular researcher has reviewed some of the old work and having thorough knowledge what has already been done and where is the gap, and then how that gap has been identified and then addressed to this present research. So this is some sort of having some trust development on the researcher's capability and the academic integrity. So that is very important. Additionally, it will also help you as a researcher, whenever you refer some document, so you also share the responsibility. Say for example, if a data is published in by some authentic source or organization, so maybe there might be some flaws in that data, but at least in that case you can refer to the document that okay, the data has not been created by you, it's not collected as a primary information. So it is always sometimes it's better that you give the reference, you give the citation for those kind of organization. Moving forward to this referencing in academic literature. So what exactly it is? Referencing in academic literature is the systematic and transparent practice of crediting and citing external sources within scholarly work, ensuring proper attribution, supporting credibility and upholding ethical standard of the academic integrity. So there are certain kind of uh, highlighted words that we need to understand one by one. So referencing is definitely a systematic and transparent way to do it. We'll also look how to give the citation and write the references. Then important part is that why we are giving citation, we are giving credit that okay, for my research, suppose I am doing some research on tourism planning and I reviewed some of the work of some researcher who are like working since say last 20 years, 25 years in the field of tourism planning and all, and publish some very good journals which I found that is very relevant, or maybe I can get certain kind of insight about their objectives or maybe their findings. So it is my uh, responsibility to give credit to that author, okay, which actually inspire me or maybe which can help me to understand certain complex relationship among different factors which lead to the tourism planning of that particular field, say for example. And then this is something that you are citing them, then ensuring proper attribute, so you have to give that attribute to them. And the credibility definitely it's something, the moment you have a paper that is properly cited, there are certain logical way that you wrote the paper with proper referencing, even citing good articles, that is improving some of the readability of the paper. Even like many a times, like when we used to review papers, we always apart from looking at the content and all, also we look into the references, that whether the work that that particular researcher referred, whether they are of good quality journals or they are just like very substandard conferences or something like that. So that means the credibility is going to be questioned. So that's why like you should refer good papers which is like important, the papers which are like very relevant to your field, and then you cite it. So then that will improve the credibility. And obviously we cannot ignore this ethical standard, so that we should not claim something already being published by someone. So that's why referencing is very important. Now referencing in this particular case, let us discuss it in detail of some of the sub points. that attribution of sources, it involves clearly attributing the idea, information or concept to their original sources. So, this is another important part, we should understand as researcher. Say I write one statement and maybe then I feel I need to give a citation. In that particular case, if we keep searching on some of the materials which can be referred there, so we may come up with say n number of results. So maybe that you find 10 papers which talk about this particular aspect and any of them you can cite. But out of that you find that out of 10, the 9 papers they are citing the 10th paper, all of them. So 10th paper is becoming the probably the first paper or maybe the base paper or maybe the fundamental papers which is the original one. After that the other papers also derived out of it or they referred the original one. So that is something like, if I want to make it clear, that one paper published, first paper, then after that 5 other paper published which referred the first one. So in that case, if you want to refer it, you can always refer out of these 5 papers, but if you get the original source, so you have to search for it and then it is better to search and give citation for that original work. This is also a way to acknowledge the intellectual contribution of others and prevents plagiarism. For plagiarism and similarity we have discussed initially and we will also have a very detailed discussion. So, one particular lecture will discuss about this and different aspect, typology, consequences. So, all those things we will discuss, so that we will have certain clarity on that. Next point is credibility and verification. So, it enhances the credibility of the academic work by allowing readers to trace and verify the information presented. So, if I claim something that okay, out of my analysis finally I get the findings, some phenomena that okay, so maybe a group of people or maybe who are daily commuters to a public transport. So, they feel that the comfort in public transport is a challenging aspect and because of that they are not really liking the public transport. Say this is one particular findings out of my research or survey that is derived. Now, similarly, if we find that okay, this kind of phenomena is also being observed in other part of the country or maybe there is some dissimilarity where they are not really looking for comfort, but they are looking for some other safety related aspect or so. So, if you bring those kind of references and discuss it by comparing that similarity between studies and dissimilarity between studies, then this credibility will be improved and also that will be verified. If it is similar, like okay, somebody has done the work for some city and then you work from some other city typical with certain algorithm and then you find that okay, it is almost similar. So, it is having some sort of relationship that probably okay, this type of cities having this sort of perceptions of people. It also establishes a transparent link between your work and the existing body of the knowledge, reinforcing the reliability of your arguments. So, if you say that this is something that where people reacted that comfort is something that to be improved in public transport, and if the other 5 papers are also saying that before you, so then that will obviously enhance the argument that okay, so maybe you are not alone, that you are giving some kind of out of moon idea or some references. So, that will also validate. Academic integrity, already we discussed that it reflects a commitment to the ethical scholarship, honesty and the respect for the intellectual property that other researchers and other authors that they have contributed. Now, coming to the citation style. So, a citation style dictates the information necessary for a citation, how the information is ordered, then the punctuation and other formatting. So, that means you must have seen that whenever you read any journal paper, publishers to publishers, journal to journal, if you see the list of references, the formatting is not same. Even the formatting for the journal, formatting for the book, formatting for the conference paper, or maybe it is something from the website, they are not same, but they are representing the same content or same paper. So, it definitely depending on that organization or depending on the established style that we refer. So, here we will be discussing such 4 which are most common citation style that we are following in our research papers. One is APA, which is American Psychological Association, MLA, Modern Language Association, then you have the Chicago style, and then also this is IEEE, Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineers. So, in this case the catch is the choice of citation generally depends on the requirement of the target journal or publication for academic article. Even say for example, you are preparing your thesis, many institutions they have certain kind of format. They prescribe that okay, whether you go for APA or whether you go for some Harvard style or whether you go for IEEE style, and then normally people they do follow. Whereas, when you are targeting a journal to submit your paper, many cases the journals initially they say that your paper your way style means you can use any citation style, but that should be consistent. That means suppose if you have 100 papers as a reference, then it should not be 50 are from like some AP and 50 from other. So, it should be consistent, but at the same time changing those kind of style from one paper to another paper is a challenging job, because say for example, if you do it manually, so everything you have to write at your own, and there are certain way that you need to write. So, say for example, if in a particular paper there are only single author paper, so the referencing is very easy. So, in that case we have to remember 2 aspects. One is your in text citation and other one is your references. So, in text citation, this is something where you are writing a statement, just after that you just insert the citation, or you can also start a sentence with citing some of the paper or the authors that who have authored. Say for example, a paper is written by some person, say you can say okay, I quote myself in that case. Suppose uh, a paper is written solely by me, so then the author is Shubhajit Sadhuka. So, the way normally we cite it, that author, okay, so author surname we write, and then we give the year of publication. So, a paper that may like published in 2023. So, in this case this is a typical citation, but this citation many a times when we discuss this IEEE, it is not like a text in text, you have to write this text, that is something called numbered. So, they assign a number in a particular chronological order and then assign a number to each publication. Now, suppose with this particular paper there is another author, okay. So, for that case suppose the other author is some something say A Roy. So, then it will be Shadhu Khan and Roy 2023. Now, if it is even more than that, if it is normally more than 2 authors, so then we go for et al. So, this is something like in text citation that we give, but whenever we write the references it is full, like normally in that case we write, say for example, then I have to write Shadhu Khan, comma, then normally we give the first letter of the first name, and if you have middle name you just put it after that. So, in my case it is like that, and then for the second paper then you have to write and then you have to write Roy comma A, and then you have certain kind of style. So, that we will discuss. So, remember for the referencing it is the mandate that whatever, like whichever paper that you have cited in your text, the entire research write up, all those papers should be given the full reference at the end of the paper, and it should not be like you have cited some papers, but they are not in the references, or they are in the references but not cited anywhere. That will mislead, and then that is not a good idea. And whenever you do it manually, say for example, like I want to change the style from say APA to IEEE. So, for each of them I have to refer one, and then whenever, like even Shadhukan et al, if it is denoted by 1, so maybe this is cited in your entire write up, maybe the first paragraph of your introduction section, or maybe the second paragraph of your research methodology section, the number will remain 1 only. So, it is something like the number should be same. So, for manually doing it is very time taking, and also there are probability to have some mistake. So, to avoid that, definitely we can take help of some of the referencing manager. Now, let us discuss this APA style, and this is some of the random write up that I have written for you to showcase that how it should look like. So, in this paragraph it is just a write up on the road accident, and then there is a contextualization that okay, so is there any such kind of risk perception or something like for those kind of driving behavior, and also like uh, about the child mortality, those kind of thing. So, in this case first statement is that it is critical to check the rise in the number of the road accident in India. So, here the statement is rise in number of road accident in India. How to prove it that it is rising? So, you should have certain information, either you can use a graph where you can say the year wise the number of road accident, or else you can use in a qualitative manner it is a rise, and then this is derived from the detailed accident report, or you can say road transport yearbook or accident data, which is being published by Ministry of Road Transport and Highway. So, in this particular report you will have it. So, in intake citation, this is a part of your write up. So, this is the citation in APA style. So, this is coming towards end of the sentence, that is why it should be in parenthesis, and then you write the abbreviation of the ministry in this case, then comma and year of that publication. But suppose if you want to make it something like a direct statement, say Ministry of Road Transport and Highway published a document in 2021 which clearly indicates that there is a uprising trend of the road accident, you can change this. So, for that particular case it will come at the beginning, and then there is a little change in that. So, you do not need to use the parenthesis like this, and then it will be like this. So, you can straightway write the citation like this. Okay. So, this is first statement. Second was road accidents can have particularly dire psychological consequences for children involved in them and their parents or the mothers. So, this is something about understanding the psychological behavior. So, this is a paper published by Brandt and other co-authors. So, that is why it is coming at Brandt et al, and it was published in 2024. Then if you see the statement that what I referred, that in this case it is not being cited at the end of the sentence, but in this case it started with Rollishan et al 2018 found factors such as inexperience, lack of skill and risk taking behaviors to be associated with those kind of accident, especially caused by the young drivers. So, here you directly start with the researcher, and then the citation is little different. If you can identify it clearly that in this case within the parenthesis you have the et al, then comma, then the year of publication. In this case only this parenthesis is for the year. Now, say for example, this is just the in-text citation. Now, how it will look in the references? And normally for most of the referencing or citation manager or in the referencing style, we go for alphabetical citation. So, anything appears with the A will come first, like that. So, in this case, even if the order of citation like Moth is first, Brand is second and Rollishan is third in this sequence of this small paragraph, but it appeared like the Brand because it starts with the B. So, how to write it? So, Brand, then first name initial B dot is required, then comma, then second author, then first name initial comma, then third author surname comma, initial of third author first name L dot, like that we do. And for the last author in that sequence, before that we put and sign, and then we just write this particular year. Then which is required, we need a period or full stop. Then we write the name of the paper. Okay, this is second statement. So, first you have the author, then you have year, then you have paper title. Okay. Next you have journal name. After that, journal name is not complete information. So, after author and year you have a full stop, then after paper title you have a full stop, and when you say journal name, after that you have to give in that particular journal if you have volume number and issue number. So, normally volume number is something that in this case it is 34, and then within bracket 2 this is issue. So, volume might have multiple issues as well. So, it depends on the journal to journal. So, if some journals they publish volume each year only single volume. So, then you can have the volume like by looking at the volume you can identify for how long they are publishing. But many papers they published like multiple volume. Within that there are issues like maybe a journal published only single volume per year, but they have quarterly issues. So, then you will have those volume number, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Say 2023 they publish. So, then maybe if the volume number is say for example 23, that they started publishing from 2000. So, 23 1, 23 2, 23 3, 23 4, and after that you have to write the page number. So, in that page number for this APA style it is simply the range of the page. So, in this case it is 35 to 36. In some other style you will see that it is not simple the range, they also use certain called PP, and after that you can also give the DOI of the paper. DOI is digital object identifier, and then normally for published article you have the DOI. So, in this link if you click it will redirect to that particular journal, the original source. Now, come to the moth. In this case you have this particular document, the moth, then the road accident report, and in this case it is taken from a particular website. So, that website is given. Now, if it is a published document, say for example you have that published document, then what you need to do, you have to write that organization name. So, here you have to write the Ministry of Road Transport and Highway. Okay. Then you can also write the Government of India and then New Delhi. why it is important to write Government of India, because Ministry of Road Transport maybe for this Euro, maybe for some other country. So, Government of India is essential. Whenever you are giving a source of website, so that means it is having all the detail. If you click on the website, it will go to that. Now, whenever you give this kind of website information, it may happen that website keep on updating, they can change from one to other. So, you also write that last, or you can say last visited, or maybe you can say retrieved on the date, the last date where you refer to, so that later on if suppose this is relocated somewhere, you can also have the claim that okay, this was there at that time. And this is for the last paper, in this case also you can see, and depending on the style, in this case you can see the name of the journal, which is Accident Analysis and Prevention, that is written in italics, right. So, this is overall like APA style. Coming to the MLA style, the context remains same. In this case also, if you see that there is no such kind of year is mentioned in that citation, and you have this particular referencing style where there is certain changes, where the year is now coming after the publication detail, before the page number. If you see the previous one, here it is author, after that you have the year of publication, here it is after the complete information of the journal, the volume, it is written as a volume in short abbreviation from 34 number 2, earlier it was written as 34 2, and then it is the citation like this, right. So, here in this case we are not having the full citation, or all the authors are known. Okay. This is for the modern language association. Now, if you look at the Chicago style of referencing, in this case it is similar to the APA, but here there is no bracket, okay, and it is something that you also need to follow. Then here also, if you would like, so you can add the ministry of this particular Ministry of Road Transport and Highway. Then again this is the same, and here we have the paper title within double inverted comma, which was not the case for this APA style. So, these are small punctuation, but these are very effective and standard thing. So, if a journal is strictly following that, and if you are not making it, if it is mandatory, so they will always write back to you that make the correction. In this case you see that there is no comma, so you have the 34 and then second issue, and then interestingly you have colon, and then you have 335 to 46. So, you might say that okay, in this particular case there is a mistake, that it is not written, but it is something in a continuous. So, it is 335 to 346. So, this is again a style, there is no change in DOI. So, similarly for this one, in many cases you can find that okay, the issue number is not written, but the month of publication is referred. So, this is something you can say that June 18, in this case you can say that it is again in 18. So, like that, and it is also in the inverted comma. IEEE style, which is a contrast. So, in this case it is, say you can have the 1. So, 1 was like our ministry, then there is a change in the order. So, even if it is starting with M, but it comes first because it is cited in that particular order. So, again you have to write this particular citation like this, and then you have the source like online, and then you have the volume number and then issue number like this. So, obviously these are small changes in that, whether you are having the double inverted comma, whether you are having certain things in italics. So, you have to be very much careful, and these are the information readily available. So, if you fix that okay, I will follow the APA style, and which is also a requirement for your institute or maybe the journal that you are referring, just make habit that what are the things that are required if you want to do it manually. So, I talked about the reference management software where you can manage your literature and you can also use it for referencing while writing. So, like Mendeley, RefWorks, BibTeX, Paperpile, EndNote, Zotero. So, they are having an n number of lists, each are having certain kind of pros and cons, certain kind of pricing. So, one of them, like normally this is again I am not making any promotion or preferences, but just for example today we will just look into the Mendeley, which is also like some sort of Elsevier product which also helps in citing the article. So, we will try to understand from a demo. So, let us understand it from this. So, you must have this particular Mendeley downloaded, and once you download it, then it is very easy, you can get it, it is free of cost. You have to uh, give your Microsoft ID, you have to link it with your Word file, and then this way you can add this particular Mendeley site option to your Word, okay, and it is working fine with your Microsoft Word 16, 19 or maybe 365. Now, after that you have to add the references. So, you can use the text, or else in this case I have these 3 papers for this particular demonstration, all 3 papers that I talked about, and I just upload it here. So, from here the PDF is being stored here, and then out of that this software extracted the information, the metadata of it, like the author detail and other thing. But at the same time you remember that okay, these are the software where it is extracting the information, but they may not be exactly accurate, especially whenever you have some kind of scanned document and all. So, here in this case you can say the road accident in India, it is being repeated, right. So, again there is no sort of author's detail mentioned over here. So, URLs is mentioned. So, in this case you have to write it like the city, which is very important for such document, Ministry of Road Transport and Highway, that you need to put it here, and then again Government of India, that I have already mentioned. So, this once you filled it, it is auto saved, then you have to give the particular short name as author. So, normally for such kind of publication you give the organization as author, and then for others you have the option, when there is a DY available you can update the information. So, once it is done you are satisfied, then it is all about citing. So, here you are writing the same text that I have already mentioned. So, when you write it, at the same time after the statement you would like to cite. So, go to reference Mendeley cite, then the moment you log into this with your credentials which you created to create the account in Mendeley, then you will have all the list of references, you just click on that. You can also search whenever you have say n number of references. So, you have to remember which particular paper you want. So, you can search on that and insert. So, it is inserted, and by default the style here is something called transportation research. So, I will show you that how you can change it. Then the second statement, which is on the psychological consequences among the children and the parents. So, in this case we have to cite the other paper which is by the Bryant et al, and then I just click on this and insert. So, it is done. So, it is that so easy, and it is taking some sort of format. So, which is something help. And the third one, we have to write something like this, and in this case we will just write in this way that Rawlinson founds factors such as inexperience, lack of skill for the young drivers. So, that part is being written. So, in this case we start with the particular paper and make the statement, right. So, in this case next what we need to do, we have to make certain corrections in this. Say for example, that the second one, that Bryant et al, that author's name. So, that particular case it is all caps. So, it is not the right one. So, here the next option is you go to citation settings and then insert references, and the style selected here is American Psychological Association 7th edition. So, that is APA. Now, this is something what already I have shown in the paper in this particular slide, and in this case what is required to change it, that okay, this is something all written in all caps. So, you have to just change it here manually once, just once, and it will be auto set. So, automatically the moment you refresh it in the Word document, and if it is linked with your this Mendeley site, and if your internet connection is stable, so it will be reflected as soon as possible, which I think you all agree that will be very much difficult. So, here see, the moment you update it, it is being updated very easily, right. So, this way you can do it. Now, you change the citation to IEEE, it is changed automatically. So, you do not need to think much on that kind of aspect. So, you can understand if you have to do it manually, so it will take lots of time. So, only suggestion that okay, so whenever I am suggesting any referencing manager, you should not rely 100% on that, about whatever information you just dump and they extract exactly 100% of the information. For such cases, what you need to do, you have to modify, you have to update it in that way. So, that will help you in this. So, let us summarize today's lecture, that is the need for referencing academic literature, the academic integrity, credibility that we have discussed. Referencing style, I have mentioned about few style, the changes in the formatting, about the placing, numbering, sequence of the reference, alphabetical or in a numbered way, and then I have shown you the usefulness of a referencing manager to take care of that. So, that means any style that you have. So, I have shown few styles, even in some of the referencing management software, they have style already inbuilt for some of the established journals. So, you just select the journals, it will automatically done. So, basic idea is around this APA and IEEE etc. But if there is something, sometimes you find that okay, something to be written in bold, something to be the abbreviation of a journal. So, that will be taken care by those kind of background algorithm. So, get used to it, and I think this is very useful to you. If you are not using it as of now, you can try and test. I think that will save some time, and also you can rely on some of the software for such kind of referencing, but you have to understand how it works, and then you have to make the database error free. So, whether all caps or the organizations, you have to make it updated, then any point of time you can do it. Even in this case, suppose from text you just do not want to write the psychological sentence and you want to remove it. The moment you remove the whole sentence with the citation, automatically your reference will remove that brand et al, that particular citation. So, that is something you do not need to take care of what is missing in your citation or the references. So, with that I end up here for this particular referencing thing, and definitely if you try, if you find any difficulty, if you have any questions, write back to me through forum, will interact. These are the reference to study materials that I often show you. So, with that we will come up with our next lecture, that is on types of data in research. That will be again an interesting lecture, and we will meet in that particular lecture. Thank you for joining, and hope you are enjoying the course the way I am. So, with that, thank you once again. Bye.